My name is Ralph Borland. I'm an artist. I live in Cape Town, South Africa, and I grew up in South Africa and Zimbabwe. One of my long-running projects is called African Robots, and part of that project is called SPACECRAFT. Both of those projects look at wire art, which is a common kind of street art in Southern Africa. In fact, in many parts of the world, where people use wire to make ingenious forms, make three-dimensional forms out of what's essentially a two-dimensional material. So I've had the idea of what if you could introduce other kinds of content like science fiction and maybe electronics, mechanics, different ways of activating wire art. So I'm helping to stimulate new kinds of production in this field. Growing up with the first Star Wars movies and playing Star Wars computer games, particularly as arcade games when I was a kid, there was a particular game in which all the graphics were rendered in wireframe. So it's a very simple way of doing 3D, and that's what computers were capable of then. So I wanted to take the idea of handmade wire art and relate that to wireframe and have a digital analog crossover. So this is a TIE fighter, or as we call it in this project, the TF-01. So it's based on a popular science fiction movie, Star Wars, and we used 3D models that hobbyists had made online in order to create this wireframe. So a lot of design work went into this in terms of finding the right way to show the form, using the right density of wire, different weights of wire, and trying to give a pleasing sense to this spaceship. This is the XW-01, another spaceship in the SPACECRAFT series. So all of these spaceships are based on the spaceships in the Star Wars movies. We're playing around with the idea of relating to popular culture and producing our own versions in an African street vernacular around how to depict these ships. And the idea is that as wire artists make Nemo fish or cars from the movie Cars, which they do in Cape Town, we are saying let's make things from the movie Star Wars and sell our own versions of them. So this is the largest spaceship, which is the third one in the series of SPACECRAFT, the MF-01, based on the Millennium Falcon. It has landing gear that folds up into the interior of the spaceship, and the satellite dish goes down as well, and it has this very distinctive form. You can see the quality of the wire work. I work with a very talented wire artist called Lewis Kaluzi in Cape Town, and he's very good at doing very technical and precise wire work. So it's not something that anybody can do, and part of how we're presenting this work is as art. These are sculptures. Part of the intention of the project is to elevate the art form of wire art, because it's an amazing craft form in which you take a cheap everyday material which is essentially two-dimensional, you make it into these amazing 3D forms, just using your expertise and your experience to do it. So I'd like to see wire art on a platform with other art forms, and that's part of the intention of the project, is to help wire artists meet new audiences, new markets, get higher prices for their work, and to have more of a global visibility for the art form.